Greetings, inmates of the Jeffersonville Clark County Correctional Facility. My name is Sam Kingma, your warden and host. This is Miku's Crackhouse, episode 124. Joining me is my best friend and co-CO, Myles J. Myles. Yeah, you're my co-co, my co-co, my co-CO, my co-correctional officer. Myles, I am watching peak television this week. I have started 60 Days In on A&E season 1.
Oh my god,
Myles,
how did you not get to this yet?
I don't know. I don't know. But Hulu, shout out Hulu in the recommendations. I went on there looking for something to watch. Suits wasn't doing it for me. I think I might have mentioned that last week.
Yeah,
that I saw that and wasn't really into it.
This is mid.
And I'm like, I need something with real criminals in it. And lo and behold, 60 Days In, it gets recommended to me. And I start watching the first episode, and I realize that 60 Days In season 1 is the first fit. Like, it's the first of its kind. We live in a society now in 2023 where 60 Days In has like 20 seasons, plus it has spin-offs, plus there's shit like Beyond Scared Straight with the kids, and that show's myriad of spin-offs. Like, plus other a series like Jail, which is like other just kind of has cameras in jail and kind of documents random people. This is the first of its kind though, where everyone buys into the whole like, yeah, we're just shooting a documentary on first time inmates, and like you just get unfiltered access to the prison society like never seen before. Or actually jail society, because it's different. Jail's like way worse, by the way, than prison. If it's between going to prison and going to jail, I think I'd have to take prison. I gotta be honest, because at least you can go outside some hours of the day. In prison, you don't get to do that in jail. You're stuck in the fucking cell. So the conceit is that there are 7 normal civilians who have never committed a crime or whatever, who have signed up for this program to be to be incarcerated in jail for 60 days at the Jeffersonville Clark County Correctional Facility. And the 7 contestants, the 7 people that are on this show, the 7 inmates, are the best casted group of motherfuckers I have ever seen. Myles, this cast is S tier good. Each one of them hits everything you want to see out of normal people going to prison. They assembled the fucking 7 sages of normies that you want to see go to fucking jail. So
break it down. Let's hear that. Let's hear this.
The best way to break this show down is to just go character by character. And we'll go from sort of my least favorite characters to my most favorite characters.
I like this
on the show.
I like this order.
The weakest character. So there's 4 males, 3 females.
I was about to say.
I was like, 7. 4 males, 3 females. Primarily exploring 3 blocks at the Jeffersonville Clark County Police Correctional Facility. C block, D block, and F block. C block is primarily known for a lot of drug use. D block is primarily known for a lot of violence and gang activity. And then F block is the female block. So the 3 female inmates get sent to F block. Robert gets sent to D block, but it gets complicated. We'll talk about him in a bit. And then the other 3 male inmates are in C block. So we'll start with Isaiah, who is easily the least interesting inmate at the start, although he's really coming around in the last episode. He's gotten a lot more interesting to watch. So he's the youngest person doing this, and he's 19 years old.
Wow.
And the reason why he is involved in the program is because his older brother got sent to jail when he was 18, and he's still in jail. And he's been in jail for like 5 years, so he wants to go and kind of experience it and see what he's like.
Is he like our hero character? Like he's one of the
they're all our heroes. They're all our heroes.
Okay, so I might be thinking of the Survivor realm of things.
It's not a competition. It's not a competition.
No, but they would cast some sordid or like some less likable people.
It specifically said, so important note about 60 Days in season 1. Neither the inmates nor the guards know that this is happening. Only the warden, the chief security guy, and then one other person, along with the production crew, obviously, knows what the real intent of this content is. But they're positioning it as just a general documentary about first-time inmates, which is how they get access to the actual, the core people for confessionals and shit. So Isaiah is, again, 19, and his mom also is like a single parent. She really wants him to do this because she does not want like her, like a third of her like third son or whatever to also be in fucking jail. Because I think she's like 2 of her 4 kids are in like jail or in the system somehow, and she just does not want that for Isaiah. So Isaiah, he gets to the jail and he's pretty pretty meek and pretty quiet, and he isn't saying much, and he starts freaking out, and he's the first one to wave the white flag in episode 4. He's the first one to say hot coffee, which is the code word to escape the situation. So you say hot coffee, or you bring up missing hot coffee when you're in front of the producers as a code word, or alternatively you take a white towel, you put it over your head, and you walk around the pod if producers are not actively around. And that's if you wanna fucking call it quits. So he does that, and they pull him out. And the reason why he was freaking out is because he knew his cover story. So they're all given cover stories because inmates are going to ask why they're fucking there. Everyone except for one person basically completely fucks up their cover story, and it's awesome. So Izai actually does okay with this cover story. The problem is that because he's 19, he's a young kid or whatever, he also meets a couple other like black inmates who like are nice and are helping him, and they're trying to help him with this case. And like there's one guy, when Isaiah gets interviewed, a guy comes walking up to him, and he's like, this kid has not seen a judge in a week. He's not been given a court date. He's being held here illegally. And you just see Isaiah, and he's freaking out, dude. And it's so fucked up that he's basically like, I'm gonna get fucking found out because they're asking real fucking questions about my case because they're trying to fucking help me when I'm not fucking real, and that's not gonna be good if my fucking cover gets fucking blown like this. Well, what ends up happening is he ends up finally getting his PIN number, so he's able to get commissary and make phone calls, and he has a conversation with his mom, and she's basically like, tough it out. I didn't fucking raise a quitter. Like, you can fucking handle this shit, dude. Don't worry about it. Like, you can fucking handle this shit. This one's fucking awesome. A lot of the women in the show, by the way, they're so awesome. They're crazy. We'll get to a few of my favorites in a bit, but Isaiah, after he got that pep talk from his mom, he's been a lot more confident in the block, and has been a bit more communicative, and things are looking a bit better for him now that he's got access to commissary and stuff and whatnot. Probably after Isaiah, the who I would say was the only like relatively uninteresting person. Then I'd say after him is Barbara. Barbara is a 25-year-old military housewife with 2 kids who are 6 and 4. So she got fucking missiled up at fucking 19. And this chick is like your fucking scrawny fucking trad wife type of character. And the reason why she wants to do this program is because she thinks that these fucking people got it way too good in fucking jail. And that her husband's out in the fucking front lines in fucking Iraq, fucking sacrificing his life.
By the way, this plot line is the most like early 2000s possible perspective.
I know, it's so great, post 9/11.
That's so nice. That is so nice.
It's awesome, and I'm like, oh man, I cannot I cannot wait to watch this chick in jail. And dude, Myles, Barbara is fucking kicking it right now. She's kind of thriving. She really connected with her cellmates, with her 3 cellmates. They all became really close rather quickly. And also another key wrinkle in this is that all the other inmates, or our core 7, our core inmates, our people, our 7, our fake mates, if you will, our faux mates,
Our crewmates?
Crewmates, yeah, our crewmates.
Yeah, we'll call them the crewmates, because they're imposters.
The crewmates do not know that about the other people in the program either.
So they think that they're the only one on the show. Okay.
Basically. Or they don't know about the other people in the program. So Barbara goes from like kind of like a stuck up, like again, like woman who you think would not last 2 seconds in this environment to pretty quickly turning it around and gaining some confidence and becoming and according to the warden, becoming the mascot sort of character of her pod in F Block. Then probably after her, I would say Jeff. Now, because I've only seen 5 episodes, Jeff was the last end of the facility. They came in staggered as to not draw attention, right, or feel or be suspicious. Jeff is really interesting. So his goal is he wants to become a correctional officer. And there are 2 people on this show who are doing this for job experience, which I think is fucking insanity.
The funny thing is that's a really relatable, like,
yeah,
that's a very relatable plot thread.
It's
nowadays.
Like, why are you doing this? It's like, I want to be a correctional officer, and what better way to show that I can be a correctional officer than to actually have been an inmate for 2 months and like know what it's like on the other side of that. But this guy is fucking Paul Blart Mall Cop. Like, this guy is like nerdy and like schlubby. He's got like that, like this very like short blonde hair, kind of like pudgy and fat. And he's not getting along. He's basically using the money that he's coming in with to kind of just like make deals and make trades, and he's coming off really weak, at least according to the warden right now. We'll see how it plays out for him. And at the end of the first episode, the A&E does a truly phenomenal, like, this season on at the end of the first episode, where they kind of give some beats of what to come. And I was like, bro, well, that was insane. That was an incredible fucking trailer for the next 12 episodes of this show, because I think he gets beat up. I think he gets attacked at some point in the fucking series, but I'm not there yet.
He gets corrected.
Yeah, but so far he's interesting to watch because I feel like he's the most relatable character from my perspective, because he's like the pudgy fat like dweeby guy of this like crew of 7. So it's particularly interesting watching him.
He's similar to you. He's a fan. He's a fan of the jail experience.
Yeah, and I mean, he is trying to be a correctional officer, so in some sense, yeah, kinda.
Yeah, you two have that in common.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. But right now, he's getting taken advantage of for his commissary money. Then probably the 4th most. So at this point, we cross from the people who are pretty interesting to watch to this is it, dude. This shit's awesome. Probably number 4, I'm gonna have to go with her name is Mariam, full name Mariam Ali, the daughter of Muhammad Ali, who goes by the code name of Yasmin in the facility in the facility in F Block. Let me just say, Mariam, this woman's a fucking badass, like straight up, because prior to her wanting to do this, she was a social worker for at-risk kids in like really fucking dangerous districts and neighborhoods in the United States. So she knows how to operate around like kind of dangerous characters. And she wants to do this to like improve the prison system and make it better. So she's just a fucking pleasure to fucking watch. And she comes in and she's just like, I got respect for myself. My dad taught me to stand up for myself. No one's gonna fuck with me. And so far, no one's really doing shit with her. And she's been basically the sort of den mother, and kind of took over that role pretty quickly once she entered the fray. But there was a really exciting moment in episode 5 where on the TV, a story about Muhammad Ali comes on, and she starts like freaking out because earlier in the episode, she gets served pork, and she makes a fucking scene about it because she's Muslim or whatever. She doesn't want to eat it, but she doesn't want to tell people that she's Muslim because she's like, people are going to be able to put 2 and 2 together. It's like, it's not good for me to be saying that I'm a Muslim right now. People are going to connect me to Muhammad Ali, and if that happens, I'm done. And then the story about him comes on, and she like is you could see the camera's like looking at her. She's notably like, what the fuck, what the shit. And thankfully, no pictures of her or any family photos were shown or anything. But so that was a close call on her end. But yeah, she's pretty exciting to watch. And then number 3 after that is the final female crewmate. Her name is Tammy, and Tammy is my favorite of the women. Tammy is in her 40s. She is a short hair, short person, like kind of like, you know, like shorter, chunkier lady, mid 40s, lesbian, and a cop for over 20 years. So
now that's conflict.
This shit's awesome. So, of course, she wants to get in here to him. Of course, like, you know, she wants to see what it's like for the people that she's locked up and try to improve the situation out there. And in F Block, there's a sort of antagonist character named Boston. And Boston is like a 21-year-old redhead bitch. She's got a crew of cronies that is basically her kind of clique. The Brick House, I think, is their like gang name in the block. And Tammy actually starts beef with Boston because she was just getting on her nerves too much, and she's just like, "You think you run this fucking pod, but you don't." And they get in a verbal altercation, and basically that exiles Tammy from everyone because spoilers in episode 3, Tammy finds out very, very quickly from just watching Barbara for a day and a half that she's also a plant. She's able to figure out from her 20 years of cop experience. And she's like, yeah, when listening to the training, telling us what to wear, or telling us that, like, yeah, you can bring in like anything white you have on, like you can bring in with you. She's got her Dockers on, her white socks, her white t-shirt. Like, she was fucking ready. She knew this shit was happening. She's too tied up. She's also new here. Like, she's a part of this program. So on like day like 2 of Barbara being there, Tammy came in first. She gets pulled into Tammy's room for a second. She's like, "I know who you are," or whatever. They have a quick like 3-sentence conversation, basically establishing that they both know that they're in the program. But after Tammy has her blow up with Boston, she tries to console with Barbara, but Barbara does not want drama. She's like, "I am not getting involved in this. You kind of started this shit. Like, you got to figure it out." And Tammy's not having it. So Tammy's pretty down bad right now. The whole block's kind of against her. And she also had a heart-to-heart with her wife, trying to get through it. But I'm excited to watch her because she's kind of going through a rough patch right now, but she's going to come out on top. She's such a badass. And she's not taking shit from anyone, so I'm excited. I hope Boston gets her fucking comeuppance this season. And then our last 2 characters are Zach, who is a former United States Marine, who wants to be a DEA agent. Just like Hank Schrader. And
you know what I was thinking.
And Myles, the rest of the people in this doing this project are here more as like I want to challenge myself personally as much as like it's bring about help with the benefits of doing this project. Zach is on a fucking mission to figure out what's going on with the drugs in this prison, how are they getting in, who's dealing, who's selling, all while keeping his cover story under tax. So when these 60 days are done and he's extradited from the jail, he's able to go to Sheriff Noel and tell him everything that he needs to know to improve the fucking drug problem. Myles, this man is fucking infiltrating like I've never seen. He is the Among Us sus crewmate, dude. He is the one who is he fit in perfectly. He memorized his backstory perfectly. Of course, being in the Marines, he had a similar lifestyle with a lot of like close. You're living together with a lot of close men. That can sometimes be a little fucked in the head, and it's like just sort of dealing with that. So he was able to adapt really quickly, really easily. He made good with the pod boss on like day like 1. And he's been treated relatively well. But in episode 5, Myles, he randomly gets summoned to court. Neither him nor the warden nor the producers know why this is happening. And they're all freaking the fuck out because they're like, fuck, if he has to go in front of a judge, the judge doesn't know shit. Judge isn't part of this fucking program. Like, he's gonna have to tell him the fucking truth, and it's gonna fuck up. We're just gonna have to shut the whole thing down. It's gonna have to be fucking canceled. And again, nothing like this has been attempted before when they're doing the show. So like, whenever they interview the warden or like the chief security guy or whatever, they have a very apprehensive tone when they're speaking about the project and like confessionals and stuff. So it feels very fucking real when you watch it. It feels very tense and it's very great and awesome. And Zach, basically what they realized is that there were 2 Zach Hollins at the jail and that they just got the wrong guy because because basically they told Zach asked the CEO, like, hey man, what's going on? Like, what's going on? He's like, yeah, you're going to meet your lawyer in a second. The lawyer comes up and he's like, that's not my client. And he's like, I'm here for a DUI guy. He's like, and Zach's like, yeah, I'm an out of state warrant. And he's like, no, go. So it turns out the CEO just fucked up and, you know, fucking crisis averted. But he kept this cool, and only Zach could have handled that situation of these 7 contestants. Any one of them would have flipped. But that brings us to the final, the number 1 guy, the best part of the fucking show, Myles, is Robert. Myles, Robert is a skinny toothpick elementary school teacher who teaches grades 1 through 4. And he's doing this to get a perspective on what it's like to, you know, make bad choices so he can bring that experience to his students. When you first see Robert in the first episode, that's like one of the first things he says, and you think it's like, oh, this guy's going to be relatively, you know, well put together, and he's doing this for the right reasons. Dude, Robert is king clown shit, dude. He puts fucking Bozo to shame with the level of fucking clownery that he is constantly on display with, and he just gets better and better to fucking watch. Robert does not pay attention whatsoever in training. He is not scared of anything or anyone in there. He's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck about it. He's like, I'm not scared of these fucking people. I don't give a shit. Like, it's actually, he comes in with an unreal level of swagger that is so fucking funny. And he is such a disrespectful fucking asshole. He immediately gets into the fucking jail. He's like walking in with this like stuff, and he looks at someone and he goes, hey, they get the NFL Network in here? And then he's like, what? He's like, the NFL Network? And then it cuts to like another like cell on the second floor, and like it's a couple of black guys like see him, and he's like, hey, he's asking about the fucking NFL Network. And he's like, what the fuck's this guy? So they all start grilling him. And of course, Zach, Robert, and Tammy are the first wave of people that go in. And again, Robert is the only person in D block, which is the violence block. So it's pretty serious shit in here. And they start grilling him, and basically his whole thing is his whole cover story was that he got pulled over at a stop sign, but he said he got pulled over at a stop sign on Interstate 65. Myles, I don't know if you've ever driven on a fucking interstate. There are no stop fucking signs on interstates. Interstate. And so everyone thinks this. So everyone immediately thinks he's a fucking cop, except for this one guy named DeAudre Newby, who looks like the big bald, sub 70 IQ individual from Sekiro. You know who I'm talking about, right, Myles?
No,
you didn't make it that far. But my Sekiro heads know what I'm talking about. That bald guy who carries around the big club in the Senpo Temple, and he's like that big fat guy. He literally looks like him.
There might be one early in the game.
There is. They got a mop head though. That's with
this
big
guy's
hand.
bald. See, because what you're describing, I picture a Bobo from like Double Dragon and Rivers and like Kunio-kun.
Yeah, like, just like a very bald, pudgy, fat dude. That like comes across pretty nice.
You know who that makes me think of? The fat men from God Hand.
Yeah. Although not as fat.
Okay, not quite that fat.
But basically, Newby's the only one who ends up talking to Robert whatsoever, and that gets him a couple of fucking punches to the fucking side of the face by another inmate. And Robert is like talking about it at a confessional, and is like, wow, I really hope it wasn't because of me or whatever. Well, basically, about like we're on day like 5 or 6 or whatever of Robert being in D Block, and everybody is just not about. This is not about his shit, dude. It's just not about him. They do not trust him. They do not like him. They think he's a fucking cop. And they invite him to a fucking. There's each week in the cell block they hold a Bible study, and all are welcome to the Bible study in D Block. Robert goes, and he's just being such a disrespectful piece of shit, because they're all talking about, forgiveness or whatever, and then meanwhile he's being like a fucking he's being like a Reddit guy, like, yeah, but you can't forgive child molesters though. You guys are all better than child molesters, right? Like, he keeps talking about child molesters, and these guys are just like, what the fuck? They're talking, and meanwhile they're just like, yeah, dude, forgiveness in God, like you've asked God for forgiveness, like, how can you say that person's not worthy of forgiveness when you fucking asked for it? And it's like, yeah, but not child molest. It's like so funny. I'm like, dude, watching like a Redditor in real time in front of all these dangerous individuals who are trying to have a fucking Bible study. And then at the end, dude, they all hold hands to say a final prayer, and Robert won't hold their fucking hands, and instead just like fucking this. I'm like, dude, you're a fucking asshole. You chose to go to the Bible study, and you're acting like this. And then, like, basically he ends up leaving the Bible study, and everyone else stays back, and they're all talking about him. Like, what? Like, they're all talking about him, basically being like, he's like, they just know what's up. They're just like, yeah, this guy's a fucking idiot. Like, he's trying to get like a rise out of us. He's trying to get a stir out of us. Like, I don't know what the fuck he's thinking. Like, we got to teach this guy a fucking lesson or whatever. And then at this point in the narrative of the story, this is when they introduce the sort of the hot coffee code shit. Cause you think that he's gonna throw in the towel. And the episode in episode 3 ends with the inmates having enough of Robert's shit, and it ends with them being like, oh, like, enough of this shit, man. I don't give a fuck. And it shows one of the camera, like a towel going over one of the cameras, and it's like, oh fuck, it's gonna be on. It's revealed in episode 4, Myles, that Robert is the one to put the fucking towel over the camera, and everyone is looking at him like, bro, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, what the fuck are you doing? You're not supposed to do that. And then Robert explains in the confessional, and he's like, yeah, I needed to do something. I need to look like a criminal and act like an inmate so they wouldn't suspect me. So, like, what's a criminal do than to hide the camera or whatever? The warden, or the chief security guy, actually, is basically explaining how serious of an offense tampering with camera equipment at a prison is. So Robert has to get pulled from D Block and is put in solitary confinement for 30 days.
Wow.
The best part is, Myles, so he ends up getting put into solitary confinement. We check up on him a week into solitary confinement, and he is having the time of his life. He is like, I came to jail to do as little as possible, and in here, I just get to focus on whatever. My writing, my reading, working out, doing whatever I want. This is a vacation. I call it paradise. Like, that's what he said. He's like, they call it segregation. I call it paradise. He's like, I'd much rather be in here than Gen Pop. And he completely, in his mind shatters, but in a way that does not typically happen. And all the guards are like, this guy is something else, man. This guy truly is something else. And they don't know he's like a normal fucking dude. Like, so yeah, Robert gets to spend half of this time by himself in segregation. And before they will let him back in, so the episode 5, which is the last episode I saw, there's 13 episodes for the first season, ends with the next on that Robert needs a psych evaluation to determine if he's fit to even go back into the fucking D Block. And I just think it's just, he's such a character. He's such a character, and I genuinely cannot believe he did not get his shit rocked in. And him getting sent to solitary confinement and him fucking thriving in solitary is the funniest shit I have ever seen. The drama on the show, Myles, is truly fucking impeccable. It is truly fantastic. I highly recommend the first season. Because here's the deal. I'm telling you, I know this shit is going to fall off in the later seasons because people are going to get wise. People are going to know what's going on. And it's not going to work. Where, like, this first season is raw, real shit. And unlike, say, something like Survivor, where there's an actual game to it, where the metagame can evolve, there is no fucking metagame to going to prison or jail. You just go
and try not to get stabbed. Like,
yeah, but it is a. I will say this first season, especially as someone who is very fascinated by American correctional facilities, I am just completely, I'm totally immersed in the show. I'm totally immersed in what's going on, and I think it is fucking insane. Myles, based on all the characters I listed, which character do you like the most based on all the people I listed?
I do like the hero characters, but like the shit stirrers are particularly funny. But like one thing I really want to bring up is that when you were talking about Robert and him like constantly doing the Reddit bullshit, like that resonated with me so much because like as a fan of true crime stuff, like the commenters on those are the most like they're fishing for Reddit gold off of Reddit. Like they are really trying to make sure that anyone scrolling through the comment section knows that they're a good person, that they believe child rape is bad. Like just like all this like stuff that like under any other circumstance in any other conversation you don't have to say. Because we all just assume, like it's like, okay, we're talking about a Bible's verse in which we talk about how asking God for forgiveness, you know, is something that all mortal men do, and so all mortal men deserve forgiveness. Like no one is operating under the opinion that child predators are so different from themselves that they don't also ask God for forgiveness for being like monsters, like.
Yeah, it's just like this is not the time for this, dude. Yeah. Like this is not the time for this.
Only these people who are like so obsessed with like the last word, very specifically the concept of the last word.
Like Robert is, of all 7 of the people, like Robert is the type of person who truly lives in a reality that is not reality. Like what he perceives is not real. Like and it is amazing to watch it happen. And it is doubly amazing to watch it happen in an environment and setting where it is so dangerous to do what he is doing constantly. And it is it's very funny. It is very, very funny. So I cannot wait to finish the first season and just see what happens to all these people because they look fucked up, dude. In the I will say, you watch the confessionals in episode 1 before they go to jail and the confessionals during jail, like especially Barbara and Jeff look fucked up. Like they look messed up. So it is it's just compelling. I don't know what it is, dude, about people's freedom getting taken from them that didn't deserve it, but it's like it's very compelling TV.
Well, I think it's partially like there is a stage play survival game. Like it is a social game to a certain point. It's just that you don't win. You don't win anything other than not getting stabbed. Like and that's what's so interesting about it. And it's why like on Survivor in particular, I always love when people can't play the game, like they're just so like self-absorbed or they're so self-important that like they can't just play the game as if there's $1 million on the line. Like so they're sitting there like thinking about like, no, I'm not gonna participate with these people, this is so stupid, I don't want to do this. And it's like, bro, do you not want free money? Like, do you not want money? Like $1 million, even though it's $600,000 after Obama gets to it? Like,
yeah,
a very famous Survivor quote for my my fellow idol heads. All those who are idled out like myself.
I've been watching that channel, by the way. Good content.
Idled Out. I like Once Upon an Island still the most, but Idled Out is really good because it has that classic like it's more conventional like content. Whereas Once Upon an
conventional
Island,
YouTube stuff.
yeah, Once Upon an Island is really unique because it's a recap time kind of situation. Like Once Upon an Island is like Ragnarok's, where it's like the obscure JRPG that scales to your level of fear or whatever. Where he just kind of recaps the experience of one particular experience, right? Whereas like Idled Out is more classic, like whatever happened to, you know, Robot Jones kind of shit, right? Where it's just he's sort of like talking about there's only one episode of Once Upon an Island that's like that, where the one where he talks about the attack zone. Did you see this?
Oh my god, dude! Well, I have not seen that video, but that Survivor challenge is incredible. So for those who don't know, the attack zone challenge was this really poorly explained. I'll say this: it's a very poorly explained challenge.
And they do a better job explaining it in editing, but that's not what no one on the island is watching Survivor.
So basically, the way the game works is that you are on a sort of like jousting bridge.
It's like a very
Pacific.
thin...
You remember Pacific Log Town from Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire Emerald? How you got to walk on those wooden logs? You're basically on those wooden logs.
The very thin wooden beams, like that. Only like basically the point is if you intersect, someone has to go down into the water to get past them. Like it's impossible to like sidle past them.
Yeah, and it's a skinny bridge, and basically you need to push the other person into the water. But you can only push the other person into the water when you are in the attack zone, which is a black square that is drawn on the bridge. Now,
it's
let
like
me just
roughly
say,
like 1/4 of the size of the bridge. Like so, it's a pretty
not
small
big
space.
enough. It really needed to be 33% bigger, and the problem was
it needed to be 10% bigger.
It needed to be like it needed to be like the Miles' fucking Hylian shield, 10% bigger. And a bit and 2 inches wider, like your fucking Link, or fucking 20 pounds heavier.
The aged up Link, where he's roughly 20%. Everything is roughly 20% more. So he runs roughly 20% harder. He climbs roughly 20% better. I think
he shield slides with 20% more swag.
Yeah, it's just the apparently there's a swag value, which I can actually confirm there is not, and I'll tell you why later. But like the attack zone is you have to see it to really understand like how it's doomed to fail because from the start.
Because what Jeff doesn't explain to the contestants is that, but is explained in editing, as Miles points out, is that you need to be in the attack zone when you start your physical engagement with the other party. The problem is that the attack zone is so small that if the other party just runs forward kind of past it and they're at the edge of it and you're not really in it, you can't really do anything about it.
Yeah, like you would literally have to back up to let them into the attack zone.
So
else you
basically,
can't like confront them.
One of the teams gets like no points because they're not in the attack zone like 4 times, and Jeff is so irritated. Like one of the rare times he is like genuinely fucking like mad on the show. I've only seen him mad 2 times. Once when he kicked someone out for like kicking someone in some mud soccer game, which I think is in Gabon. I don't think it's in Gabon. The mud soccer I think is in. Oh my god, I actually don't remember anymore. But it's not in Gabon. But he kicks someone out of one of the immunity challenges or one of the reward challenges. Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about. And it might even be. Sorry, I have a cold, so I'm just like, there's a sneeze that's not coming out. I need to blow my nose, but I don't have any tissues, and I'm on the show, so I can't like do anything about it. Yeah, just do like one of the, I can't just go into the fucking elbow. Yeah, but yeah, it's gonna blow a snot rocket off screen. I guess I could try, but then I'd have to clean it up. Yeah, no, I think it's Samoa. I think it might be Samoa. I'm not too sure because there is like a mud challenge. No, I don't know. I genuinely can't remember. But it was that there's time, and then the attack zone where he is just like where he's like fuming mad because he does have like a sort of like, if he's annoyed or if he is disappointed in a player, like he will absolutely
make it known, but like he is like, what are you doing? You're not in the attack zone. Yeah, and
you are not in the attack zone. And then also the best part is the team that is losing, like that just cannot gain a point. Like, because they're knocking all the people out, but they're just not in the attack zone. One of them is so pissed and just like drags someone in, like they're swimming, they're paddling back from the bridge. They just fucking whip someone off, and they get like a penalty point or whatever.
Someone chokes someone and then throws him into the water, like.
And then Jeff's like, you were not in the attack zone when you grabbed, Alice's neck and threw her in.
And threw him in. Yeah, like it's so funny seeing him just like. And the best part is that Thailand is universally considered the worst season if it's not Island of the Idols by fans. Where and to be fair, Island of the Idols its problem is like a meta issue with one particular player, but like,
is that really the extent of the issue with Island of the Idols? Is that one guy
Dan
sucked?
Spilo?
Dan sucked that much? He was that.
I mean, because it's also not a very well-liked season to begin with, but, like there are seasons that would probably be rated lower if not for just, like, how long Dan Spilo is in the show. And, like, in particular, the fact that Dan isn't entertaining. He's just a sex pest. So a lot of people just aren't comfortable watching the season. Like, it's just uncomfortable to watch him not get voted out and continue to grope women and be terrible. Like...
do we know exactly what he got kicked off for in the end?
Allegedly, it had something to do with someone who wasn't on the show. So, like, he might have, grabbed a producer
like a crewmate or something.
Yeah, crewmate. Yeah, like camera person, medical person, something. But, yeah, and it's so funny to think that, like, once you molest production, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, Dan should have been off the show, like, week one.
Yeah, and then, because there's another similar moment, right, with, like someone named Sue, where she
are you talking about when Richard Hatch like rubs against her?
Yeah. Although apparently I was kind of reading into that situation. Apparently it's a little more than like kind of meets the eye and meets the edit. Because like apparently it was like she really didn't have to go and make contact with him, and she does, and then like 24 hours later, she's like kind of upset about it and makes a scene. It's a bit more complicated than it initially lets on.
Yeah,
but
like,
that's a moment.
The Richard Hatch thing is that like he's always naked on the show for some reason. It's just his thing. But like he kind of like rubs up against her, and like there's always debates about whether or not like she collided with him or he intentionally rubbed up against her, like as like as like a joke or whatever.
He's got like a YouTube video where he like kind of breaks down like his sort of side of the story.
But the very famous, like, I was humiliated and degraded. It wasn't sort of Jeff. It's one of those things that sticks in your head, similar to Applebee's.
It's pretty epic TV, and specifically because it's like this would not have been shot and have gone edited like this today.
Yeah, so especially the fact that Jeff is like sort of disappointed in the fact that she's like freaking out and making a big deal out of it. Like,
yeah, well, this is the era, because I watched a video that chronicled all of the quitters in Survivor, and
was it the obnoxious history of Survivor quitters?
I'm pretty sure it was that video. It's because I've seen a couple videos on Survivor quitters. Specifically, this one did a really good job highlighting how Jeff like handled quitters, because at the start of the show he's very anti-fucking quitter, and it's awesome, it's amazing. And Sue is at the tail end of the anti-quitter era of Jeff Probst, and because of that he's just kind of like, he doesn't really blow up at her or is super disappointed, but there's just kind of a look of
there's
like,
an eyebrow raise. He's got a little eyebrow raise.
Like, what the fucking, come on, like, you could have had a problem with this like a day ago, and he's also off the show now too, so it's like one of those things. And also he didn't even get voted off for that, he got voted off for other reasons. So it's just like it's just like one of those weird kind of, it's always will be just, I guess, one of those weird situations in Survivor history.
There's a moment that's a little like awkward for Jeff where Jenna Morosco, I believe it was, wants to go home because her mother, like, she just kind of got this, like, hippy-dippy, like, I feel like something bad is going to happen to my mom, because her mom had, like, terminal cancer or something really bad.
Yeah.
And at some point, she just
knew But that her mom had cancer before she went on the show.
Well, no, she did know that. She did know that, but like while she was on the show, she just kind of got this bad feeling in her stomach that something was wrong, like that her mom was going to take a turn for the worse, and that she needed to go home. Like the production didn't inform her of it. It was just a gut feeling, and so like Jeff is kind of like, whatever, sure, right? Like,
well, the mom did die 8 days after she got back.
Yeah, she died 8 days later, and so like I'm surprised. And to be fair, like I'm sure Jeff probably had enough power to say like, yeah, that wasn't a good look for me. Cut that out. Like I'm surprised that they kind of let him be authentic in that moment instead of trying to like manipulate the edit to make Jeff seem like he didn't think it was completely fucking stupid of her to leave on a hunch, on a feeling, like on a bad vibe. Like at one point he asks Boston Rob like what he thinks, as if it matters, right? As if Boston Rob can do anything. And Boston Rob, who's like kind of a cutthroat player, is like, well, when it's family, yeah, you got to be there. Like nothing is more important than family, right? Like one of the rare moments where like a true Survivor villain is like a better human being than Jeff Probst. So there's a lot of funny like Jeff egg on his face moments.
Yeah,
but,
although I can in that moment I can kind of feel because here's the deal: Jeff doesn't know this woman's gonna fucking die in 8 days.
No,
so
like I
would have
done the same
retroactively.
Shit. Yeah, I would have done the exact same thing if I was the host.
He knows that Jenna knew before accepting Survivor that her mom was kind of had terminal cancer and was kind of in this position, and she kind of took it on anyways. And when people quit Survivor, it does fuck up production. So
they can't do a tribal council that day. Like they can't. They can't do a certain, like, if it's before or after an elimination challenge, like, the elimination challenge just over, like, it ruins the show.
Yeah, so I appreciate his frustration from production. And to his credit, around, like, the halfway turning point of Survivor seasons, he really loosened up. Granted, at this point in the show, a lot of the quits are medical evacs or medical, they weren't technically medically evacuated, but they personally were like, yeah, I'm fucked up. I'm not doing this shit anymore.
Yeah, like they were told they could continue playing, but their leg was broken or something crazy like that.
Yeah, or they got fucking an infection. Like one of the guys had like an infection.
Yeah, it's like a fucking welt in his knee, and it's like disgusting. I know someone left the game because his son got into a car crash. I think it was Terry Dietz.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I think it was Terry Dietz.
How do you be informed of that information?
Producers came to him on a boat in the middle of the night. Like, they just showed up at his camp, and they were like, dude, your son was in a fucking car crash. You want to go home? And he's like, yeah, I probably should. I really ought to be there.
That's wow, what a fuck situation. You get on fucking Survivor and you're like,
he was a second time player too. Like this was his second chance. Very specifically.
Damn. Yeah, that's a tough situation. And then shout out to the guy who quit twice. One faux medical evac, and then Colby, and then second actual quit.
The Colby is sort of, first of all, Colby's one of the worst characters in the entire show's history because he's like a racist, and he's such a little he's like, the F word was invented for this character in particular. And there's two Colbys, which is funny, because then there's Colby, who's like one of the most famous like players, and I even think he wins his season. And then there's this other Colby who very famously says, I know a lot of black people like my housekeeper. Like, and like he's this obviously gay person who's like he talks like, so Richard Hatch is gay, but Richard Hatch is not like, he's not like very obviously gay. Ironically, I think the other Colby is gay, but he's like this challenge beast who's like a hairdresser in real life. And he has this whole thing about how he's like, I'm really happy that I could be on TV and show gay, that gay people can be tough and athletic and cool. And then there's the other one, and he's like, oh, I hate everyone here. I just want to vomit on their fucking face.
And he quits so early too in this second run.
And then they let him come back, and then he quits again, and like he's like crying, and he's like, I don't care what anyone says about me. I'm gonna quit. Quit the game.
That's a great Jeff moment, because Jeff is being vindicated in real time as he is like the last quitter beration from Jeff, I think, is Colby,
who deserves it. By the way.
Oh, absolutely,
because he's a piece of shit. He's a fucking bitch. Like, he's a little bitch. Yeah, no, he is one of these people where you can get away with calling him a slur because it's so true. It's so true to him. Like this is how I feel about like there are just certain times in which the slur is real. The famous Chris Rock joke. There's black people, and then there's like and like sometimes it just is that way. Yeah. Like he truly is a foghorn of a person.
He truly is a funny action guy.
He's a funny action guy, this man. And he's the only, because like Survivor actually has like a pretty good track record of like LGBT like players, and it's never really made a huge deal of except
that one time.
Except for that one time with Colby. And it's just like, because they actually did straight up kick someone out of the game for outing someone as transgender on the show.
I actually, like, a week or two ago when we first got into the Survivor arc of Crackhouse, I watched that entire tribal council. By the way, one of the rare tribal councils that's like 20 minutes long.
Yeah, because it's so dramatic. It's such a dramatic
like half the fucking episode. And basically this one guy outs Zeke as trans or whatever, and then everyone immediately turns on him, and they don't even vote. They don't even have a vote. They just say like, Jeff's like, well, I think we all agree who's going home tonight, and I don't think we need to have a vote. And they're all like, you know we do, Jeff.
You know we do, Jeff. Like, what's so funny about that scene too is like the reason he outs Zeke is because he's saying, oh, because Zeke didn't tell us all that he's trans, we can't trust him. That's his attempt at like a Survivor like play of like sowing doubt into everyone. That was his game move. And like, it wasn't just like he told him in confidence and he accidentally let it slip. He's like, guys, Zeke's a liar. He didn't tell you that he was born a woman.
He's also that guy wasn't even on from reading the comments and trying to understand a bit about the context leading up to that tribal council. He wasn't even on the chopping block.
No, like
that episode. It was some woman. It was some woman on the council who was the real like.
Yeah, she
was between
her
and
that
Zeke.
Night.
And I think like he was trying to get Zeke out for like some
bullshit, probably
for some other advantage numbers wise. Whatever. I don't really know what the whole deal is.
You think it was like a tribal? Because this was post merge, I think, right? Like
yeah, it was like post merge, but I don't think the jury was at this thing yet. I don't really know exactly when the jury gets introduced. Does the jury get introduced the second post merge?
It's usually it's not always post merge. Is the weird thing?
It's like 2-3 weeks after.
It's basically
post-merge,
within. It's basically like when the numbers start to matter. Like at that point, like but a merge can happen. The thing about the merge is that it kind of happens like whenever production decides it happens, and it's usually touch and go. Like it's not like when a certain number of. It's not like, okay, when they are down to a certain number of players. And I think part of that is like if one team is just completely like blitzing through the game, they might want to give a chance to like before the merge, like see if the numbers even up so that you don't get a begonging situation. A begonging is when one team just systematically votes out another team after the merge, like just based on the fact that we were on Team Toggy and we have the advantage. So let's just get rid of everyone on Pagong and the end of the game will just be Toggy players. So like the merge is somewhat random. Like somewhat, but it's usually you can usually tell when it's about to happen, like in the editing, and the players usually get a good sense of it. But yeah, like if it was a case of like, okay, well Zeke is on, whatever is the other team, and we need to kind of even out the numbers. Like, yeah, I'll throw Zeke under the bus. But like,
yeah, that was pretty.
That was his move.
I know, it's just and then he just comes to immediately fucking regret it.
Yeah.
And it's like 15 minutes of him trying to fucking backtrack. That's like really hard to watch, and it's just a very interesting, intriguing piece of TV.
Yeah, and it's the only time it's happened in Survivor. It's probably the only time it ever will happen in Survivor. And it's not like it's that late of a like. We're very sensitive to trans issues as a society, and especially like Hollywood and television is nowadays. But like that wasn't, as far as I'm concerned, like that was like a late 2000s season, if I remember correctly.
It's like 2010s.
Yeah, like early 2010s, and so like a lot of like trans rights stuff was bubbling up on the internet. But like I don't know if it had reached Hollywood by that point. Like I don't know if it if it was the kind of thing that was really important to like television and producers. I think that was just a moment of like basic human empathy.
I actually think it was specifically because I was just reading, because again, I love fucking reality TV show controversy. I think it's fucking insane. It's my favorite part about any of this shit is when fucking drama or like real world shit leaks into these fucking shows.
Family edition of Amazing Race, where like
like I like when fucking real world shit fucking leaks into this shit and causes like fucking controversy and big drama and shit. And like apparently like CBS like worked pretty closely with like Zeke, and they got a lot of his permission to like air this stuff.
Okay, yeah. So they were very sensitive to the problem.
They were very, very sensitive to like him and like making sure it was okay for this stuff to air, because it technically outs him to everyone else.
Yeah.
The fact that it's on TV, so it's but he's like, it's fine. It'll help other people,
Yeah, but and especially like I think to see like because it wasn't a moment where anyone was against Zeke at that point.
No, everyone comes to support him. Yeah. It's a very nice support. It's a very nice supportive moment.
So I can definitely understand why Zeke would be.
Thing.
Yeah, Zeke wouldn't mind like the idea of like, because it shows some consequences like that. Yeah, that's that you can't just do that and get away with it.
That guy lost his job when he came back because he was like an activist or something. Like he was like some.
I do love the Survivor professions. Like it's always funny to know like who is coming on to Survivor, and especially who needs the money and who doesn't.
And also the best part about the guy who outs Zeke is gay, and the only reason that he found out that was because they had a reward challenge. Because I know this because I've actually seen this. I saw this scene live when it happened. I don't remember the year or whatever, but I just remember being in my family room because my mom was a big Survivor fan. That's how I know about most of this shit. Before you started getting into it.
Yeah.
And I remember, Zeke has a conversation with the guy, and the guy tells him that he's gay or whatever, and Zeke's like, "Oh wow, I didn't expect that." He's like, "I'm actually like trans or whatever," and he's like, "Oh, okay."
And he immediately he put that in his back pocket and was ready to fire it off. Yeah. Which that's a good Survivor lesson for everyone, especially like not everything is a game move. Like there are some pieces of information that you can't do much with, and it's funny what can become a game move, like the fake teeth. This is an incredible moment in television.
That shit is so good because I was watching one of the awesome Survivor videos I was watching was like because the jury apparently
most
they don't do this
tribal
anymore.
council speeches.
Yeah, so basically like. Specifically, it was juries. It was jury speaking of Final 3. It was jury speaking of Final 2 or Final 3. And basically, the jurors used to be able to give a little speech or whatever. They used to be able to say a spiel. And apparently, they don't do it anymore. But they should bring it back because I think these people who are the jurors do deserve to say, like, to have some words to the final two people who are going to win this fucking game.
For sure. And it just makes for good TV in general.
And there's a couple that are awesome. The one against Sugar, which opens the video, is like 20 seconds of a complete fucking slam dunk. Corinne just completely bodies this fucking woman.
She bodies two people in 2 sentences because it's Susie and Sugar. And she has nothing negative to say about Bob, even though she doesn't really care about Bob in the first place. And that's how you know that Bob got the vote.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing. And then there's the other one where she's like, take out your teeth. Because there was like, because she was basically like, would you have left the game if like I didn't like give you back your teeth? Like if you didn't have your teeth, would you have left the game? And she like lied to her. She's like, no, I wouldn't have left the game or whatever. I was just, I was being dramatic on her. She's like, then take out your teeth right now. And she's like, what? And she's like, take out your teeth right now. If you want to show everyone, take out your fucking teeth. And
for all my part 7 homies, this is Johnny saying pick up the gun. Like that moment, that is a true like kingmaker scene moment. And then by the way, she doesn't even get her vote.
And that's the best part is that later on that woman who she takes out her teeth, she doesn't get her vote. Which is just the like cherry on top of that. That's why the jury speeches need to come back, because people need that. If you're gonna win a fucking $1 million, like you need to be fucking humiliated by the people who are gonna give it to you. Like you need to be brought to fucking terms by the people you fucked over. And there's some good fucking speeches.
There's some really powerful ones. Obviously, the snakes and rats speech is that's the most famous one. I really like the one towards Natalie. Like,
it's very supportive of her.
Yeah, because and he makes a great point that I think his jury speech might have won Natalie the game, because like everyone kind of had to begrudgingly respect Russell's game, even though he was a terrible person and no one liked him. He played an impressive game. But then, this guy comes up and he's like, why should I fucking respect Russell Hance's game? He played like a bastard. Like, Natalie didn't play like an asshole, but she played a good social game and she made good bonds. Like, why am I supposed to respect the more aggressive game played out by a dickwad? It was such a really good moment. Because
you don't deserve this fucking money, bro.
He kind of checked the shit out of them, where he's like, guys, let's not pretend like what Natalie did doesn't count as good gameplay just because like Russell built himself up as this fucking mythic figure. No, he's an asshole. He doesn't deserve $1 million.
And what I love about that speech is I love that it's a speech in more so in support of
Natalie,
one of the people in Final 3, as opposed to like a takedown or like an airing of grievances. I like also very much respect and think is very interesting.
Yeah. No, it's that's an excellent speech. There's a couple of really great speeches in that video. It's definitely worth watching if you want to see like the true fury of like a jury scorned.
What 2 weeks on Ponderosa does to an MFer.
So apparently on Ponderosa you're not allowed to discuss who you want to win the game. And so in a lot of these cases, like the beef is all. It's all inferred. Like, if you didn't pick up on any beef or any, like, social whatevers, like, after, or if you left, you're the first jury member and you're not aware of the beef this fucking 7th jury member has, right? Like, you're not allowed to know that shit. So you can just show up to Tribal, to Final Tribal, and just, like, watch just complete beef unfold that you weren't aware of.
Yeah, it's interesting. Survivor's fascinating. Not something I think I would actually want to like watch full seasons of myself.
I admit it. Like, there are times in which I will just like, I'll just like watch the Once Upon an Island thing as cliff notes after like kind of barely paying attention to the season in the background.
You'll just have it on while you're doing work or whatever.
Yeah, I have it on because it's like I'm not missing any nice shots or anything, like.
Yeah, there's no cinematic angles in Survivor.
Yeah, and a lot of the time, like, that's such an audio-based show. I'll usually watch the challenges, of course, because I love the challenges. I would love to play Survivor just to play the challenges. Like, that's what I care about. Like, if I had
you want to hang out a pole for 6 hours? Like,
no, that sucks. But the obstacle courses are really fun.
Yeah, they do look fun.
Those obstacle courses look great.
Rolling around I want to do one where you got to do an obstacle course and then a puzzle.
Yeah, no, those are fun because like that's like true video game skill. Because you gotta love that like there are certain game shows that just are video games. Like especially like
Wipeout, Wipeout or American Ninja Warrior.
What's it? Takeshi's Castle? Is it Takeshi's Castle?
Takeshi Castle.
Yeah, Takeshi Castle. Like that's a really American Ninja Warrior. I think you already said.
Yeah.
American Ninja Warrior is specifically Mario 64. Like,
I know it's fucking awesome watching these people do it.
It is just watching Mario 64 speedrunners. Like,
and I will say like there's something about Wipeout that is fucking awesome. Like between the super fucking corny color commentators to like the incredibly amazing sound effects they put in when people are getting fucking like, dude, it sounds like it fucking hurts when these people get knocked by these fucking beams coming out of the wall and shit.
It kind of is like, as far as these sort of like obstacle course games go, because like American Ninja Warrior, I mean that's a good family show for sure, but like Wipeout is a better family show.
Yeah.
Because everyone, like, there's athletics, there's attractive people, there's funny sounds.
And also, every contestant on Wipeout has mental issues of some kind. Yes. I don't know how to say. I want to be nice about and it's not like they're different. Like, they're just on a different wavelength than most people. And, like, everyone, I don't know how they fucking find them.
Well, yeah, American Ninja Warrior, like, those are people who are, like, dedicated to the cause.
Are training for years to try and most likely fail at this obstacle course.
Yeah, whereas, like, there is something really fucking funny about, like...
just random people, like, everyday people who are just eccentric individuals on Wipeout.
Yeah, like, there is something really funny about certain Survivor casts where sometimes you get, like, a bunch of really, like, people who know the game and they're dedicated to the game. They, like, David versus Goliath is, like, such a, like, Survivor fan season. And that's a good, like, apparently that's a good season. But, like, a lot of the cast members are these kinds of, like, Survivor game bots, you know, Kagayan, similarly. But then you'll have certain seasons like Samoa where, like, Once Upon an Island has just gotten into the Samoa arc of the channel. And, like, you have people like Shambo who are just, like, pathetic human beings, like, and it's always funny because, again, what I was saying about the Survivor profession is, like, seeing someone and you just, like, wonder how they do at their job. Because Shambo was a fucking Marine Corps person, and she's one of the most insecure people ever. Like, it's just such a character that like, how the fuck did you survive in the Marines when you're so sensitive?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess being stuck on a fucking island with no food makes a brother think.
To be fair,
something.
yeah. Like, I don't know if I could maintain my disposition. I mean, to be fair, like, I get mad about nothing nowadays. Like, I'd probably be a pretty bad social player on Survivor. Like, I sent you the picture of, like, the GOG review for Baldur's Gate, where it's like, it's an entire letter grade lower than every other website for Baldur's Gate. And I'm like, I wonder what it is about the GOG crowd in particular that makes them, like, reject Baldur's Gate 3. Like,
yeah.
No, not reject, but like that they're way more hard on Baldur's Gate 3 than, like, every other outlet on the internet. What is it about GOG? I find this very interesting, just, like, the subcultures of websites that you can just kind of, like, see how websites feel about certain content, like, before you even, like, log in and read the reviews. You know what I mean? Like, that Metacritic has like, a culture. It has a culture of people who just get mad that scores are not the way that they want them to be. Like, I sent you that the Elden Ring review that was, like, 0 out of 10, and it was just,
you mean the Armor Core 6 review, you mean?
No, there was an Elden Ring review that I sent you that was just 0, and it was someone typing AAAA over and over again, just to tank the score, just to bring Elden Ring down lower. The Armored Core one, that was a Steam review, the one that I sent you.
Which was awesome. That was, like, because I've been loving Armored Core 6. It's all my friends
really like it so far.
I'm having a fucking absolute fucking blast with it. But I was laughing my ass off when I first booted up the game because the first mission, the helicopter boss fight, is it's not free. It's not a free fight, and it's probably way harder than, I'd say, Asylum Demon or fucking Gundyr or some shit.
Well,
like,
it has been really funny seeing people be like, the bosses in this game are so hard. I'm like, what did you expect? Isn't that kind of like why you bought the game? Like, isn't that like why you fucking simp for this company in the first place?
It's funny seeing, like, Armored Core vets complain that the bosses are too Souls-like because they don't want to learn attack patterns or whatever.
You would think that they'd be down for that in particular. Like, that's very interesting.
I don't really get what that's about. I mean, I do agree that, like, fighting other ACs is very exciting and much more interesting, and because the big bosses, they just have a lot of health. Yeah. And specifically, the chapter 1 end fight, Baltius, he's the real filter. The helicopter is the little filter. Is the little boy filter. That's
Baltius is
like the
fat
black man filter.
That's the Red Eye Knight from, like, Demon Souls. Like, before you get to Phalanx isn't even really a filter, but, like, Red Eye Knight, where it's like,
Phalanx is a knowledge filter. Phalanx you can't beat if you don't have fire. If you have fire, you will win.
Yeah. There's not a really great, like,
Red Eye Knight, and you can skip Red Eye Knight entirely and not have to engage with him whatsoever. So he's also not quite accurate. Where, like, with Baltius, you got to beat Baltius. You want to see the rest of the fucking game.
Yeah, but like that little,
you got to beat the
filter.
helicopter. You got to What's funny about the helicopter is you got to beat the helicopter to even access the tutorial on how to fucking play the game, which I think is really neat and funny.
Yeah, that's very surprising that they would hit you with that.
once you learn that you just got to use the sword, it's like, oh, okay. It's like you just got to like realize that one thing, and then it's like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, like a lot of my friends have been saying, especially like a lot of my friends who like Armored Core previous games have been saying the major issue is bosses have just never had this much health.
Yeah,
in the franchise before.
They got a lot of health.
Which I find very interesting because it's not like Souls bosses are known for having like bloated health pools per se either. So that was just a choice that they made.
But here's what I've come to kind of realize is like, because Baltius my first time through, it took me like 3 hours of attempts to beat him. And then when I finally did beat him, the fight was like 9 or 10 minutes long. At least it fucking felt like it was 9 or 10 minutes long. Because he's a fight where he has a shield and you need to bring down the health of the shield. And then you can attack him for like 45 seconds, deal damage, and the shield comes back. And then you gotta fucking attack the shield again. So if you don't really know how to maximize your damage, which if you're like me and you're relatively new to the series and you're still kind of picking up on shit, you're going to have to go through 6 cycles of like taking down the shield and fighting them. And like about halfway through, his attacks get a little more aggressive and a little more crazy. So he's kind of hard. He's pretty fucking hard to deal with and like hard to get a handle on. But once you do, and you are you know his attacks and get it better, and B, understand how to make a better AC and understand how to build something that's a superior craft and is capable of handling what this boss can throw at you and coming with superior weapons to take out the shield quicker and to do more damage when the shield is down, I was able to go back and reface him and perform way better. And it only took me 3 tries instead of 3 hours worth of tries. And I was able to beat him in like 3.5 minutes by just using better equipment, and not even equipment that I could have had access to when I fought the boss too. So it's not even like it was like,
yeah, like this wasn't a new game plus situation.
Yeah, not yet anyways. And same thing with the other bosses. Like, I will say after chapter 1, they've fucking put you through the ringer. You got to do chapter 1, and then chapter 2 also has 2 pretty tough bosses. Didn't take me nearly as long because I'm finally starting to get the hang of like maneuvering my AC and like what's a good way to dodge missile barrages and all this stuff so I minimize damage. Because that's what's fun about it, is like really finding ways to like minimize the amount of damage you take. Because there are repair kits, but you get 3 of them and they don't really heal that much. They heal an extra like 1500 AP. So it's like or 15,000 like AP. So it's like really not that much extra. It's like an extra health bar equivalence worth. So like you got to kind of like make your health bars last, which is why the bosses feel so long. Is because you're like trying to dodge, you're taking like pot shots here and there, and you just gotta kind of outlast them. But it's just, God, it's so much fucking fun. And I love the customization too. Like, I just absolutely adore just being able to make whatever fucking robot I want.
You know what's, and this is so petty of me, like, but you know what bothers me about the release of a game like Armored Core 6?
What?
And this might be a hypocritical thing for me too, as a Tears of the Kingdom guy, but like, I always dread any game with like a lot of customization. When like when I'm gonna have to suffer through like a week of people sharing their complete shitpost build, like because I'm such a self-serious fuck. So like that first week of like Tears of the Kingdom, when I wasn't on social media and I wasn't seeing a lot of the builds, but of course it was like giant penises and stuff like that everyone's like, oh, how very fucking amusing. Like I hate that shit. Like having to see the fucking Taco Bell builds that people make in Armored Core, McDonald's
like Taco Bell armor and shit.
Yeah, shit like that. Where like I'm like, I understand you're having fun and you're trying to get your bag, you're trying to get that social media clout, but like you're not funny. You're so lame.
I mean, I agree with you. Like on one hand, it is cool to see people's creations. I have especially enjoyed people recreating like good specific like mobile suits and stuff.
Like I know a lot of people. I have a friend who like made his like Shinji's Ava, like he drew the fucking nerve like emblem, like stuff like that.
And the customization elements of the game are really deep and great.
I have no problem with that. Like again, like it's similar to like with Tears of the Kingdom. Like I want to see like cool shit. I want to see like really good shit.
To me,
but for the first week, you get filtered by guys who like who make like the McDonald's mech, right? And like
I want to talk,
just
yeah,
your
like
week.
yeah, and it's one of these things where it's like I want to talk about the game because I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I want to see what other people have to say about it, or like what other people are using in their builds. Yeah, you go on the like Armored Core subreddit, and it's like 80%. Exactly, McDonald's, Ava, fucking waifu decal, fucking Skype fucking decal, like, you know, anything you can fucking think of. And on one hand, it's really cool that people are doing that and putting that in the game, and you can download it yourself if you think it's cool. Like, and that's all great, and I got no problem with people sharing that. It's just like, man, I wish.
But I would love to talk about the video game that I bought. I spent $60 on this video game. Like, I think it's just the fact that there are some people who like will see a feature in a game and they'll go, cloud. I can get cloud from this. Like, and instead of like actually just like talking about the purchase they made, the expensive purchase they made, they instantly go for the cloud machine, and they got to make their Taco Bell build, and like that becomes like just a week of the conversation around the game, and it happens with anything where creative freedom is available to just like whoever, right? Because Tears of the Kingdom, you know, after, I don't know, 2-3 weeks, like, it finally got into a situation where, like the building community was, like, a very dedicated thing where they were working with each other and they were figuring things out, and, like, they kind of, like, had similar objectives. But, like, that first week of Tears of the Kingdom was apparently just people building penises, because of course it was.
Yeah, because it's fucking goofy.
Yeah, because it's funny and people are going to like it on Twitter, and, like, you know, whatever, more power to you. I don't have a problem with that per se, but, like, it sucks that you have to, like, get through, especially when you don't think it's funny, you know, like where I'm like, oh, someone made a penis. I could have done that. And I probably would have seen the exact same degree of success on Twitter had I done it.
Yeah, it's
so all the like funny, you know, Armored Core builds. It's I would imagine you're especially like, yeah, can I please just talk about what's a good weapon? Like,
yeah, I just want to talk about I want to talk about the actual weapon and armor pieces. I'm not really interested in seeing any more decals. Like, I've seen enough. I'm not going to use any of your decals. I like my fucking blue and silver armor core already. Thank you. Like, using the base fucking default color settings, like.
Yeah, and this was a big thing with like Tears of the Kingdom modding as well. Like early on, it was just a lot of people doing their model swaps and ports and things like that. I'm actually like, I'm officially doing it. I'm officially a fucking Tears of the Kingdom modder, kind of.
Oh my god, you've done it?
Now, I haven't put anything out yet, but I am working on like 2 pretty large-scale projects with another person that I met, who I was very impressed by the work that they were doing, and we ended up... We have a very similar like feeling about like what the game is going for and what we'd like to see the game like do more of.
Finally, you're taking matters into your own hands.
I really am.
You're gonna stop complaining about all the free work people have done in the modding scene to make the Hylian shield 10% bigger.
Because that was like my revelation is like some of this shit, I can actually do some of this shit. Like I'm not a fucking genius. Like, for example, no one can edit AINB files. We can't edit them. We can read them, but it doesn't matter. No one knows what they say. Exactly. But I met the guy who's building the tool to do it, so I know it's happening. Like that's what's so sick about like actually joining this fucking community is I'm not sitting there like, oh man, when's this Flurry Rush mod coming out? Like, I know the guy who's trying to make it happen at this point. But it has also made me even more entitled against end users. Like, I learned that word yesterday, and I'm already like, fucking end users, man. Like,
Enders.
Yeah, fucking enders. Endies. Like, these fucking endies complaining because we're not doing enough, you know, like, but I was like, someone's gonna do an armor rebalance, so like, why don't we just do it? Like, we'll just split the work. And then I also had the idea for like a weapon rebalance that like mostly the focus is just on making every weapon like more strategic, as opposed to, because I think the weapons as they are now are very strategic, but like by end game in particular, the one weapon just kind of dominates because of how like prevalent it is. So like trying to differentiate between decayed weapons and pristine weapons, and trying to like, for example, like if you turn the Traveler Sword from like metal to stone, turn it into a stone weapon, it's no longer conductive. So like things like that, like little adjustments that you can make to the weapons to like make it so, okay, even though I'm in endgame, maybe I want to carry around a traveler's sword in case of a thunderstorm, or like adding like new and so it's all like I'm really like still figuring out. Like one idea I had was the eightfold blade, literally just making it like it doesn't get any durability from a fuse, which I think you can do. I just need to figure out how. It doesn't gain any durability from a fuse. And you can only use it 8 times before it breaks, so it truly is like this like stealth kill dagger now. Like that's what it does, because that's what I was using it for anyway. That's what everyone uses it for. It doesn't need to last for 40 hits like it does in the game. And so like kind of making the weapons like more interesting and diversified, in particular having a better interplay between durability and strength, because as it is now, both just scale very linearly. And so I'm trying to kind of make a situation where you might end up cycling more weapons out and picking up weapons that you might not normally, because, well, I just have a better weapon that lasts longer and my inventory's full, so I'm not going to do it. And so, like, I'm still in the planning phase of that. I got my fucking Excel sheet going and all this shit. But yeah, the armor thing that one's much easier. It's just number tweaks. We're basically just lowering the maximum armor values down to the point where it's half of what it is by endgame. And like, so yesterday I did fucking crash test dummy tests, and I just let myself get hit by things at max health. And I put on the fucking Korok mask, the Breath of the Wild tunic, and the archaic leggings. So like, it's just the ugliest outfit I've ever seen, but it's the only thing mathematically that gave me 30 armor. Which is like that's our target for most armors is 30, and just like allowing myself to just get hit by everything, like having to drop weapons for bokoblins so that I can test like the damage values, and if they, in particular, if the math lines up with the numbers in the files. Spoiler alert, they do, but sometimes shit's weird with the armor values.
Sometimes the bokoblins get a critical hit and we don't know what happened.
Exactly, like just shit like that. Shit like that. To make sure that
sometimes you whip Dracula and you do 5 damage. I don't fucking know. Like,
yeah. That was my evening yesterday. Was running around in the worst outfit I've ever seen in my entire life, getting hit by every enemy in the game and logging damage values.
That's some engaging fucking gameplay right there,
dude. It is actually funny that like I can't even talk about Tears of the Kingdom like a human being anymore.
No,
because I'm now
no,
like,
we're so far far.
Dude,
past
I'm in the
that
guts.
point.
I'm in the fucking guts of the game. Like I'm looking at fucking numbers and integers. I can tell you the integer value of how much a bokoblin does. Fucking stupid.
What a game,
dude.
What a game.
I truly enjoy it, but there is something very fun about taking matters into my own hands, and because I'm not fucking salty now. I'm not fucking salty that people are making what I want to see, because I'll just
this is a long time coming. You should have got into this years ago.
I think the problem was that I truly just thought I couldn't do it, and then I saw like with our current tools, like, oh, a lot of this shit's actually pretty fucking easy for me to do. It's tedious, but I can do it. But there's some really cool ones. Someone is porting all of the as many jutsus as possible from Jujutsu Kaisen into the game. And so when you activate auto build, instead of auto build schematics, you have jutsu schematics.
What the fuck? How does he plan to do this?
There's footage of
Myles, do you know how complicated the powers are in Jujutsu Kaisen?
There's some pretty
insane.
basic. He's doing some of some basic ones.
The basic ones? Okay.
Yeah, all the basic ones. But like I've seen footage of it. It's functional and it works. It needs a Zonite cost. It's a little too overpowered at the moment, but hey, we're figuring it out. But yeah, like, so that was a pretty...
When am I going to be able to summon stands in Tears of the Kingdom?
Well, Sam, you already can, frankly, but it's not all it's cracked up to be. But like,
I want like the Dark Souls 3 mod. That's like that's the
stand mod.
That shit's awesome.
That is probably gonna happen, specifically
so
because of the
sick.
Sage avatars. Like, someone's gonna figure that out. We really just need the time. And especially once...
I was about to remark, I'm like, yeah, they should mod something like that in Elden Ring, and I was like, oh yeah, that's already in the game, Spirit Bell.
No, it's just that no one uses it, even though they should. Because I used it. It was fine. I had a great
I want
time.
a mod that lets me call multiple spirits. I want to fill the whole fucking
that
squad.
must exist. That must exist.
I want to squad up with 3 wolves and 5 skeletons and 3 trolls.
Dude, the Elden Ring modding community already is pretty nuts. Like, they got a randomizer functional already. Like, so
God, that's crazy.
Yeah, so it's and Tears of the Kingdom already
That
has
actually sounds like a kind of crazy fun way to play the game.
I would probably enjoy that.
Of Elden Ring.
I would probably enjoy that. Like, the thing is, like, Tears of the Kingdom's randomizer is already in the works. I think it's like 30% done already. Like, this is not bad progress.
Yeah. Although with the Elden Ring randomizer, I just want the fucking items randomized. You gotta fucking
you don't want the
randomize the
enemy
fucking items. I don't really need that. That's funny. Like when, especially in like Dark Souls 1, when like you fucking Seath the Scaleless is at Firelink Shrine, like that shit, and you gotta fucking deal with it. That shit's funny as fuck.
That's funny to watch happen to a streamer.
I don't really want to like play. I don't really want to like play that.
Yeah, my thing is, like, a lot of the features of like the Tears of the Kingdom randomizer, like, to me are like I don't want this. Like, it teleports you to a new part of the map every 10 minutes, and I'm like, I don't want to play like that. What the fuck? I don't want to do that shit. That's not fucking fun for me.
Yeah. It's not like a whole, like, I can imagine, being able to maybe make some funny content out of something like that, but that's not something I wouldn't want to actively play the game like that.
Yeah, I respect, I don't know, like, it's so funny whenever I have a friend who's, like, really into randomizers. This is like, the most,
we shit on randomizers, like, every other week, it feels like. Every third week, we come back to it.
But I want to particularly shit on people who, like, are really into randomizers, like, because King K recently, your favorite, released a video, talking about, like, Ocarina of Time and how it built the foundation of 3D Zelda. I'm like, oh, what an idea. What an idea for a video, King K. Where do you come up with this stuff? And my friend watched it, like, out of bitter spite, and he was like, I mean, it was fine, but it was a King K video, so it was too long.
Am I the original King K hater?
Yeah.
Am I in the first generation at least?
Yes, you are. There was a couple people on r/games, like, he was really unpopular on r/games, but being
every essayist is unpopular on r/games. I can't,
except for Matthew Matosis, of course.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, but apparently, like, people liked my garbage on r/games, which is so funny to imagine.
I can't believe that shit,
because that shit was, like, it was so mid. Like, all my earliest videos, like, other than the fucking Miku video and the Catherine video, are, like, peak mid. The rest of them are so mid, but yeah, like, but he was saying, like, one of the talking points in the video was that King K, like, you know, his original Ocarina of Time video, he's like, yeah, I don't get the hype around this game, I don't get it. And then he said, like, well, then I started playing the randomizer and I started to realize, like, how well designed this game is. And to me, that's the most insane sentence. And I've heard it a lot. Nintendo Capri Sun actually said something very similar on a stream where he's like, yeah, I used to think Ocarina of Time was overrated, but then the randomizer made me realize, oh, like, this game is, like, mechanically very solid. And I'm like, how? I'm sorry, but is that, like, a form of stupidity? That, like the vanilla experience.
I'll kind of defend the take in the sense that I can appreciate that when you have to play a game in a different way, you have to rewire your brain on how you see it, you appreciate the game in new ways. I literally was just talking about this a few shows ago when I replayed Dark Souls 1 and how I was playing it kind of with a more completionist mindset. Instead of just playing it for 3 hours and beating Gwyn and calling it a day. But, like, I was able to appreciate some of the more intricacies and some parts of the level I would just never really go to or very rarely would go to and see, or sub mechanics like the weapon weapon fusing or whatever. To get different, like, elemental types of damage and how complicated that is in the first game.
The various, like, rocks.
And the various
rocks.
The various Titanite gem colors you need for everything. And also, like, boss weapons and stuff, which I, like, never ever fucked with or touched in Dark Souls 1. Like, and just kind of seeing how you get those and, like, kind of grinding those out and, like, finding places that, like, are actually, like, spots you're sort of semi-intended to, like, grind up and count, like, items in, and there is, like, one spot that's relatively, like, painless or easy enough to handle. So it is, like, you do see the design in that way. I understand it definitely coming across as definitely pretty wild, where it's the random, like where it's like a randomizer
in particular. Like that's the one that's so funny to me. Like is the idea that like, yeah, I thought this game sucked until I played a randomizer of it, and then I realized, oh, I just wasn't thinking at all. And now that I was forced to think, I like the game. And it's a very interesting moment of like, you can see the critic hat that a lot of people put on when they go in specifically to talk about a game and talk about like, especially if you're going to do a stupid Zelda retrospective, that's bloated and you say nothing. Because I remember sending that Wind Waker video to you and being like, yeah, man, this guy
actually wasn't it Twilight
video.
Princess?
No, I sent you the Wind Waker video, and I was like, you might like this video because he also agrees with you about Wind Waker, and you're like, that was the worst fucking video I've ever seen in my entire life. And like, to me, I was like shocked because I was like, well, it's your opinion. Why don't you like the video? Like, that was like where I was operating at that time in my life. I was like, but he shares your opinion on the game. Why don't you like the video? And you were like, because the construction's terrible. And it's bloated, it's too long, and it sucks.
It's like 50 minutes of like the same like 3 or 4 core points, like over and over and over again. It's like I could have got this in like 15, 20 minutes. And
man, that's the King K experience.
It's the
baby.
King K way. It's the King K way. And hey, man, he's the one who's got 200,000 fucking subscribers or whatever.
Yeah, he's had 200,000 subscribers for the last 4 years, but you know,
because that's the thing is he built this audience and he's got his audience, and he just. His opinion doesn't really have his opinion doesn't have a greater impact on how other people see games in the way that like a skill up review might, you know, like
right. There's not that kind of like Matthew Matosis, because he doesn't grow that much either. Like for as much as like people like us know and talk about Matthew Matosis, he's not very popular. Like really,
he's not really a YouTuber either. Like
no, he just releases videos when he can, and he takes his Patreon money, and then he goes and he goes back into his hidey hole to program his games. And like he's not a Joseph Anderson where like when Joseph Anderson makes a video, like it or not, you have to see it.
Yeah, it's a big video, and the reason why Joseph Anderson videos take a long time to come out, I don't like them, but a lot of work goes into them, and they're long fucking videos.
Yeah.
So like it makes sense to wait a month or 2 months for a JA video, where like with Matthew Matosis just doesn't give a fuck about YouTube. He doesn't really give a shit.
He's not trying to make a video like at the pace that the algorithm likes.
Yeah, I was actually shocked he released that like 10-minute video like a couple months ago that like
extrinsic rewards.
Extrinsic motivation. Yeah, I was a little surprised he like released that, because I'm like, oh, I thought Meta Micro Videos was like the end.
No, he's made a couple. He made a couple of videos. He made context sensitive. But I think he's like done talking about games in particular. Like he's done talking about like The Last of Us Part 2, Death Stranding, like those, like doing reviews.
Yeah, he's not reviewing games.
Yeah, I think he's more talking about like game design theory and you know the value of certain design things. But like I don't know, there's. I just get very fascinated by like the videos that people make nowadays, like the bizarre like sub trend that I'm seeing of like people who are frustrated by a great game that they don't like enough. Like the most famous Joseph Anderson Uncharted and Last of Us Great and Terrible Games video.
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom is a frustrating 10 out of 10. Elden Ring, a trouble masterpiece. There was another one I saw. There was one about every FromSoft game has one of these fucking videos, which is really funny. Because like, except for Dark Souls 2, because everyone's kind of on the consensus that that's one of the weaker ones. But like,
yeah, it kind of.
Yeah, but like there's one about Dark Souls 3 that's called like Dark Souls 3. It's like Going Hollow or something like that. Like, and it was one of these like classic 14,000 view videos that's like Dark big Souls, for them, yeah, but not for anyone else.
Yeah, Dark Souls 3 is like one of those games where like, man, in 2015, 14, 15, 16, we actually were pretty critically tough on games. And I feel like we're just not that way anymore. Like I don't know if I was talking about it on this show about Arkham Knight.
You were. That was like, last week.
And I feel like Dark Souls 3 is kind of a similar vibe, because I think Dark Souls 3 is like fucking awesome. Granted, I think the game is 10 times better when you fucking slap the fucking DLC on the bad boy. I think it goes up like 2 whole fucking points in my book. The DLC is like so fucking good and so additive to like the whole campaign because you can do it super early. But like that's a game that gets like criticized and arguably rightfully so for not really bringing like that many like original ideas of like taking a lot of like kind of what worked in Dark Souls, and it does kind of play it safe in some elements, but it's a ton of step forward for like the combat being really great. I actually think it probably the peak Souls combat is 3.
I think the problem is also that Bloodborne like had just come out, and that was such a like sensation to so many people, and so there was this sort of negative comparison. Because you want to talk about why people were tough on games back then, it's because people were happy with apples to oranges. People loved saying, well, last year we got this apple, and so now that I'm playing this orange, it just ain't as good. Like that. It was that way with Arkham City or Arkham Knight. Sorry, with Arkham Knight, where people were like, "Man, there's just been so many open world games. Like this one isn't that great." Like even though like
same thing happened with Fallout 4 in 2016 too.
Yeah,
like
where
people
like
played
that,
Witcher 3 or 2015. Excuse me.
Yeah, Phantom Pain
3
and Witcher 3 came out like a couple months before it, and so Fallout 4 came out. And by the way, that's one that's kind of stuck around. Like Fallout 4 never really had its redemption round. Like really.
No,
not like Mad Max was a game that was really screwed over, especially by people just came off the Phantom Pain boot camp, and then they had to review Mad Max, and that game had its like second wind when it was like divorced from having to fucking compete with
and also like would go on sale for super cheap, so like the game just becomes a different product at that point.
It just got its shot. Like, I know that Just Cause 3 was really like harshly reviewed, and then Just Cause 4 came out, and then everyone was like, "Yeah, man, Just Cause 3, that was pretty good."
It was actually pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, like it's so. People back then were happy to do apples to oranges, and like now when you see an apples to oranges review, it's like a fucking culture shock. It's like a shock to the system to see a game get docked points because it's not similar enough to another game. Whereas in like 2014, 2015, like that's all we did. That was all we did was have problems with games for not being another game.
Yeah. Which has its own has its own like problematic elements to it as far as criticism goes. But like, I just feel like nowadays, like
Dark Souls 3 would have gotten 10s across the board just for being Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, and I just feel kind of the same way about like a lot of stuff today, where I just feel like games get reviewed like pretty easily, like most of the time. It's like, like look at a game like Redfall, like that's in the Metacritic of like the 60s, by no means a fucking good look at all, but like still think about what that fucking means. Like it's still in the 60s.
It's not getting like,
and the game barely functions.
The fact that it's not getting savaged, like truly savaged. Meanwhile, like Arkham Knight like got a 5 out of 10 review from Jim Sterling. Like,
yeah, which is like, dude, that game is, I think, nowhere near a fucking.
To be fair, Jim Sterling is very like. He's very they. I don't fucking keep up with Jim Sterling.
He still goes by he goes by fucking Jim Sterling still.
I don't keep up
because it's a fucking brand. Like, yeah, but it's Jim Stephanie Sterling.
Yeah, whatever. Like I believe that they're non-binary still. I don't know anymore.
They're a wrestler. They're
a wrestler.
like a fucking like a backyard wrestling type of deal. Like,
well that's cool. And I know that they like that sort of thing.
Like an amateur wrestler.
I gotta be honest, that's a great career for them. That's a really great move for them. I don't really have a problem with Jim Sterling per se. But like Jim Sterling, they have a very like rigid
I
review,
used
like,
to
sale.
fucking love Jim Sterling back
I remember
in
you were
like
obsessed.
2015. I mean, just the Jimquisition.
Jimquisition was
so
excellent.
good a few years ago. It was like so fucking good, and they just fell off.
Well, the problem is that they didn't like fucking keep up. Like Jimquisition talking points in 2019 and 2020 were from 2015. Like they were still like, this is proof that the single player game has value, and it's like, yeah, everyone's already there, dude. Like
we're still getting these games. I get it. It's like a little less or whatever, but like this shit is still happening, and I'm just like, I gotta be honest, I'm just so frustrated with like a lot of like just how games are spoken about online, both from like professional outlets and like as well as YouTubers, and
I think it's just a problem of like of people people only have so much time to play games, but they have a certain amount of like, I gotta meet these deadlines, and I can't write fast enough if I'm measured and thoughtful about it, so I'm just gonna fucking say my piece, and I don't care about the lasting impact of this article because I have a deadline to meet. I really do think it is just a case of like, well, I don't have time to make something more thoughtful.
That is what it is, and like I empathize with the situation, but don't think that I'm gonna give you fucking pity points for still releasing shit. Because at the end of the day, like I care, I want to read interesting stuff about games.
Well, it's
and
funny,
if you're
like,
not capable of providing that, I'm just not gonna read your site.
It's always very funny that like game devs will their game will be rushed and it'll be released out the door too early, and people will have no, like, these fucking exact same critics who have to play the game have no sympathy for it, and then they have a problem when they have a rush deadline and their article's inaccurate and everyone dunks on them and they're like, oh, but the deadlines in games journalism is so, it's just like, this is the same, like, you are in the exact same position that these devs are in. The difference is that your product has way less worth and way less value and people care less. I'm not going to feel any sympathy for you.
And this is the thing about like a lot of like these like review sites is like the only value they have is being first. And if they're not first, their review doesn't really have any value or hold any weight. I don't really care about like any of the words people say in these reviews. I really just care about how the numbers shake out, because as someone who's been around the block, and you can probably agree with this too, Myles, same thing. We've been gamers for years. We've been immersed in this industry a long time. We can look at how a game kind of reviews across a variety of outlets and just get a gauge of what the general quality is by just from experience, from raw experience. I think most people who listen to this show who like video games could probably do the same thing.
And I would imagine, like, and again, like, for me, my fascination with a game like Baldur's Gate 3, like, my eye was not turned to it because I wasn't really following its development. I didn't really realize Larian was making it. Had I known that, I probably would have been a little more attentive to it. But, like, the fact that game came out and it was a Metacritic Top 100, like, that was exciting for me because I'm always about that Metacritic Top 100. And that is the most fascinating, like, mild obsession that I have. Whereas, like, with something like Tears of the Kingdom, which I know is probably going to review well because it's a Zelda game and journalists don't have to think about what they're playing in a lot of cases. They just know it's quality because they've been conditioned to, apparently. My question was, where does it fall on the Metacritic Top 100? That was way more interesting to me than will it review well? Of course it's going to review well. The question is, will it beat Twilight Princess as it deserves? No? Yeah. Really? Okay, moving on. Like, but then also thinking about, like, well, why is that? Oh, well, because it's just a very different situation, landscape, that it's coming out to. But, and that sort of thing is always very interesting to me in a way that's more interesting than, like, people were, like, mad that Armored Core wasn't in the top 100 because, like, oh, FromSoft game's gotta be in the top 100 or else they're mid. And it's like, what are you talking about? Only one game, actually, is in the Metacritic Top 100 from FromSoft. Only one. Yeah. It's Elden Ring. Like, Bloodborne is not in the top 100. That's sitting pretty at a 92. Sekiro's sitting at a 90. Like, and those, by the way, anything over 8 is incredible. Anything above 8 is an incredible fucking score. Like, even if it's not a top 100 score, it's really hard to do.
Yeah, anything in the 90s or like 88 and above is like a huge achievement.
Yeah, 88, like even 89, like for Hi-Fi Rush, like that's massive for a game like Hi-Fi Rush. That's 6 hours long, had no advertising, like, and especially that's sort of like a dated genre. Like the fact that no one was like, where's the commentary on violence? You know what helped, though? It was a commentary about capitalism. That was all the reviewers were like, oh, I agree with this. I also agree that big industries are bad. This game has messaging that I like. Like, and so that probably helped. That probably helped it to not be deemed like forgettable trash. Like it could have been, because every fucking game's got to have a fucking social message. I was thinking about this with Hotline Miami recently. Yeah. Where like Hotline Miami, because I was discussing how no one can do a good anti-violence message anymore because they've all been done. Because I was saying, like, Mad World is one of the more underrated, like, anti-violence messages, because in particular, it's not an anti-violence message, it's about how violence has become this, like, money-making, like, this complete money printer in the games industry, like, and so that's a really interesting, like, take on this. Whereas nowadays, all you can do is The Last of Us Part 2, where you try and emotionally manipulate the player into feeling bad.
For killing people is wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Killing people who tried to kill you is wrong, and you should feel bad.
Killing AI that you can't reason with.
Richard!
Yeah, I remember when someone was like, Myles! And I was like, I don't feel anything. That's my name, and I don't feel anything. How did they do it?
They got Peter!
Yeah.
They got Peter!
Hey, Lois! Brian's freaking dead!
They shot Brian!
What happened to Meg? Brian? Brian? Oh no! Brian's been shot!
Oh man.
The last of Guy.
It seems today.
No, that would be
all we see.
It'd be the Troy Baker.
It seems today that all you see is violence in movies and sex in video games.
and the sad like doom 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 over black.
Oh damn, dude.
I would love to have like a Blue Harvest, like the Star Wars things that they did for Family Guy, but for Last of Us.
Dude, that would be crazy, bro.
Well, it's like how there was like that Rick and Morty. Like for a while, I think Sony had a deal where like any like Sony first party game, they had like Rick and Morty do a commercial, and so there's the Death Stranding Rick and Morty commercial.
Dude, that shit's awesome. That shit's fucking wild. I love just cracked crossovers for commercials and shit like that.
I must say, yep. Yeah, the Geico, the Geico one.
That shit makes my like stomach fucking twisted.
Oh yeah,
dude.
Whenever there's something that just shouldn't be advertising this particular product, Cuphead, I must say that this boss doesn't inspire any fear in me. And it's like getting punched in the fucking face from the words Cuphead. It's incredible.
Oh man, good fucking shit.
Before we close out, we need to address the Starfall in the room.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Starfall, even though I haven't played it and I have no investment in its quality. But it is funny that that like Starfall is like this thing that everyone I know is really, really hoping will fail on launch immediately.
I'm sorry, you mean Starfield?
Sorry, Starfield. What did I say?
I was really confused. I was like, what the... I actually I'm glad he brought this up, Myles, because I wanted to talk to you about this.
Okay, cool.
Because when this show comes up, this show might go live, I think, the second the embargo lifts. So people will know that we can predict how we think the game's gonna shake out, because we've seen some leaks on 4chan that were not pretty.
But here's the thing. One thing that I've learned from Survivor is that it's all the Kuleshov effect. It's all you cut it to make it look how you want, because Survivor like podcasts of like hosts and shit, or like, because a lot of these people have YouTube channels, like Russell Swan, who got medically evacuated in Samoa. He like flies airplanes, and he's got a YouTube channel where he like gets in his fucking airplane with another Survivor person. And so it's like comedians in cars getting coffee, survivors in planes getting pagonged. I don't know,
getting fucking
getting rice
getting sent into G-Lock.
Yeah, like it's interesting because a lot of them will like reveal like, yeah, the edit totally fucked with like my character or whatever. A famous quit, Purple Kelly. The producers told her to like show up in a dress like on this island, and she was fucking freezing every night. And like, so they kind of set her up for failure. And then when she quit, like Jeff still had no sympathy for her, even though like she got the
has like this. Yeah, I think she has 5 confessionals.
Yeah, only 5 confessionals.
And 4 of which are in her episode.
Yeah, like she's got one in episode, I think like 7 or 8, when she talks about like food. No, it wouldn't have been 7 or 8 because I think she left pre-merge, but No, she left post-merge because she's on the jury, I think. If I'm remembering correctly, but like she like quits and Jeff has like no empathy for her, and then she's like, I quit because I was told to wear inadequate clothes and I was cold all the time and I couldn't fucking take it anymore. So like with a lot of these Starfield leaks, like a lot of it's probably, you know, V has a very particular outlook, and they root for certain games and they hope other games fail. Like, you know, it's like I called Crobcat today Earth's mightiest VTard. Like Crobcat's like content literally is like a steady he is the black pill factory for VTards in particular who want to like feel bad about the industry and feel like, oh man, we really grew up in like the best era of games and that's all bygone and everything that comes out nowadays is mishandled and shit. And like he just kind of makes videos that like help to reaffirm that feeling, you know, if something's like the Left 4 Dead video,
yeah,
like where like there's way more factors than just who was involved in the production of Left 4 Dead that resulted in that game being better than this other Back 4 Blood game. But like, you know, that's the narrative that he helps to paint because,
well, those videos are like Rorschach tests. You just kind of watch it and you take whatever opinion you have on the game in question.
Yeah, you just get that out of it.
You're able to just pop your opinion on the video as evidence for whatever your take is.
Right, but he obviously he's still editing it to a certain extent to like kind of push.
Oh yeah,
you know.
no, he definitely does that.
He's trying to push the idea that like yeah, you want to know why this game didn't turn out well. Well, here's a couple of video interviews that hopefully will explain it, and it's, you know, but since it's edited and since it's footage, like it's not the whole story, but it's. And I think
no, definitely.
Like a good faith interpretation of him is his way of kind of giving people like a good place to start in questioning what happened. But then the bad faith one is that he's fucking farming views from people who want that negativity. I can't tell you what it is.
Although, to be fair, anyone who makes an argument or like makes a YouTube video that like explains an argument or something is probably going to leave out like core crucial information that
because they don't, first of all, they don't have a lot of time and they don't want to jeopardize their argument.
Exactly. And it's one of those things where it's just like, it just kind of comes with the territory with arguments. You kind of just gotta like, you see it, take it kind of is what it is. And then if there's problems with it, obviously then you fucking break those down or you seek out other fucking alternatives.
But yeah, I still think he's definitely Earth's mightiest VTard. Like he kind of gives the people what they want on that board.
Definitely.
But yeah, Starfield, like a lot of the Starfield leaks. Did I say Starfall again?
No, you said Starfield.
Yes!
You said Starfield.
Okay.
You got it right.
Good. Okay, because I thought I said Starfall again. I don't know why I said Starfall.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. I mean, it's one of those games where, because here's the deal: Bethesda games are the type of games where, yeah, there are moments of pure beauty and moments of pure fucking anarchic jank, or just whack shit, and like it's definitely, and yeah, you definitely are gonna see the most whack shit online, yeah. Like you're gonna get clipped of the most like insane wacky shit because that's what's gonna get that's what's gonna get perpetuated by a lot of people. And also choose Starfield. It's important to note too that Starfield is not just a fucking Bethesda game this time around. It's a fucking key piece in the console war for these fucking idiot morons on fucking Twitter and Reddit and elsewhere on the internet.
Yeah, this is the Xbox front runner.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is like they game, so like they need it to be fucking good.
Yeah,
and there's gonna be extra reasons to make it seem like it's not good or that it's jank or that it's low quality.
I think what's nice about this particular year is that like we're kind of not like unless Starfield does gangbusters, which I personally don't think it will. I mean, I think it'll sell well, but I don't think review wise it'll be that held high. I think it will probably be like mid 80s.
I'm actually thinking like low 80s. I'm thinking like when everything settles, like 83.
Okay,
is probably what I'm thinking.
I pictured exactly 85, 86. That was exactly what I pictured.
Because based on so basically the two clips that we saw about 20 seconds of some gunplay, like talking to us.
It was like ADS, like shit gunplay.
Yeah, it looked very just kind of like what just kind of whatever. And then we saw a
This
like
is
a
my
10
favorite clip of all time.
We saw a 10-minute clip that was like fast forwarded by in like 7 or 8 times speed of the player character just running in a straight line on like a rocky, deserty planet. And I think there is one moment in the 5 minutes of the time lapse he gets shot by an enemy or a monster or something. The screen flashes red for a split second, so I think he does get hit by something. But other than that, he just encounters nothing for walking for 10 straight minutes, and then just hits an invisible wall that tells him he can't go any further. And it's very just like
It doesn't even have the "you can't go any further" message from like Tears of the Kingdom. It's just like it's just a wall. It's just a wall.
It's just like an invisible wall. It's very, very funny. It feels very it's very like Daggerfall-esque in that way. And I was telling you, like, this is why fucking you warp everywhere in Daggerfall. Like,
I once
there's nothing on the roads. Like,
I once said that Bethesda is the American dream, like where it's technically you could still get what you asked for, what you were told you could get, but more than likely you'd get it 25 years ago. When it was actually possible. Like that's like kind of how I'm feeling about Bethesda, where it's like I don't believe the American dream doesn't exist. I just think it's way harder to do. And now like with Bethesda, like the game that you wanted, that like this dream game that you wanted existed. It's called Morrowind. Like it's called Daggerfall. It's called Fallout 2.
Yeah, and the thing is like, because Morrowind is like radically different from Daggerfall, because Morrowind has no fast travel at all, which is like the antithesis of Daggerfall, which is 95% fucking fast travel.
Yeah, like Morrowind is about like conquering that 3D world.
This small fucking region of world, like compared to what Daggerfall is, which really does feel like a whole continent's worth of fucking towns and places to go and see. And to fucking travel to, and like the fast travel has like a gold cost and a time cost. Like if you have to go somewhere, it will take you 16 days to walk there, or 8 days on horseback or whatever. And that's really interesting and really engaging. And also what Morrowind does is engaging and interesting in its own separate way. Much more, kind of like Kenshi in the sense where Kenshi also has no fast travel. So like you get to learn the world in a more raw way, because you have to, if you want to go somewhere, you got to fucking go. You have to do it. You got to fucking walk there. And in Morrowind and Kenshi, like you're going to probably come across some fucking dangers along the way. Like, so you have to, be ready and prepared for, almost anything. And that's where the fun, engaging role-playing elements sort of stem from. Like even in like Baldur's Gate 3, like Baldur's Gate 3, much linear game than anything like Bethesda does, but like the actual encounters are high stakes because it's tough. It's not just it's not like Pokemon where you spam fucking attacking moves and win. Like you have to use creativity and like kind of work your way out of situations or try to not get involved in conflict at all, ideally. Like, so it's really it makes for an engaging role-playing experience, and I still think Starfield can make for an engaging role-playing experience.
Right.
I absolutely think that it can, and that's why I told you, like, when we were kind of seeing this footage, I was like, it really comes down to, and why I think the game's going to get low 80s is because I do think it's going to hit this stuff on some level, that the main quest content's got to be solid, the side content has to also be solid, and the sub-quests need to be good and high quality, and the gameplay needs to be just fun enough. Bless you.
If you want to be a true crackhead,
finally got it out.
If you want to be a true crackhead, make sure to join the Discord.
Which we probably should start repping at the beginning of the show and not 2 hours in.
We really should.
But if you made it this far, you would fit in great there.
Yeah.
There's no prison politics in the Crackhouse Discord that
not
you have
yet.
to play.
Wait until I start being more active. Then we'll talk.
We'll have to start calling it our own C block.
Yeah, Miku C block.
Yeah.